Hi, so what I have here is the Chicago Cutlery Essentials 15-piece set. So what I'm going to do here is show you each and every knife, and then at the end I'm going to compare it to a comparable price set that's on Amazon.com that's a lot better. So the reason why I got this was because basically of the Chicago Cutlery name, and I thought it was going to be a good deal, but you know, hold on till the end and you'll see what I mean. So here there is 15 pieces, basically 16 steak knives, and the biggest knife it has is a Santoku 7-inch knife. And then there's a bread knife, and then various knives, and the block itself. So really it's 13 knives, the scissors, and then the block. So let me go ahead and show you the most important knife here, which is the Santoku. So this is the fanciest knife they have, and isolated by itself you would think, geez, you know, this is a really nice knife, until you compare it to what I'm going to show you at the end here. So this is a very nice kind of like beginner set. And so what I mean by beginner set is, you know, if you're in college or if you're like a young 20s and you don't really cook all that much, you know, when you have this knife you think it's like really fancy because it has these dimples, and it's probably a better knife than you've ever used in your life. So you might get this set for that reason. Now, just to show you the handle itself. So the handle's kind of cheap, even though it's riveted. There's 3 rivets. It's actually made of basically plastic, though it's not like plastic. It's like what they call like polycarbonate. And then it does have, you know, the blade itself going through. So the blade is, you know, one solid piece that goes through. And so when you're looking at this, you're thinking, wow, you know, Chicago Cutlery, it's nice and fancy. So this is the fanciest knife, and the dimples here are very helpful because it, you know, if you're cutting meat or cutting fruit, it won't stick. You know, there's not that suction effect with some of the, you know, sticky meat or fruit, you know, sticking to the blade. So that's the main 7-inch knife here, and that's the biggest knife that's there. I'm going to pull out the 5-inch. So these are sharp enough that it's gonna, you know, kind of cut you. And you'll notice the handle for this is really small. So, you know, so this is the 5-inch knife. So just to show you side by side, the 5-inch. You know, maybe this is enough lots of times for a casual cooker. You know, very nice for its beginner set, except that it is kind of pricey. The regular price is about 50 bucks. Even if you get it on sale, which is what I did, I got it for, you know, 40 bucks or $39.99 on Amazon, and I will have the link in the description areas. Now here's the paring knife, in addition to, you know, kind of like these utility knives. So I'm just going to pull all of these out. And so this is a somewhat serrated knife with the small teeth, and then a sharp blade at the end. Now notice it does not come with a sharpener. And just looking at the handles, you can see how, you know, they're very plain. Now the block itself is pretty nice. It's pine, and it is somewhat laminated, so it has that satin look to it. And then these last 2 knives. So here's the bread knife, and then here's like kind of like a paring knife also. So now it's hard to see with the reflection, so I'm going to try to go far away here. And finally, before I go to the steak knife, so here's your normal scissor, and it does have a Chicago Cutlery right on there. Now if I look at these knives, you know, it does have the Chicago Cutlery emblem right there. So it's, you know, somewhat labeled and fancy. Now, you do want to dry these immediately. They will rust, despite them saying these are all stainless steel, so they shouldn't rust as easily, but they still rust. You're not supposed to put these in the dishwasher. It'll ruin the handles and it'll start rusting faster. You really should, even for these beginner knives, you really should clean them right away. So these are the steak knives, and they're serrated. I like that they're serrated because you don't have to sharpen them, or they won't be dull. Now the teeth are kind of like medium-sized teeth there, and it does have, once again, the Chicago Cutlery emblem. These are riveted. Now you'll notice that these steak knife handles are kind of like a small like really, I don't want to use the word cheap, but they do feel cheap, you know, so, which is not what you want when you're spending. I know this is not a $100 set, but it's still a $50 set. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the set that I got that is also $50 that is like just so much better. And so here's the block, and it does have this nice emblem here, so let me show you that so it sticks out, you know, Chicago Cutlery. But let me go ahead and show you the other knife set here, side by side. So right away, these are both 15. You could see, you know, the difference in size here. Now, the Essentials is also in its same price class. These are both $50 sets. Now, you could just tell by the handles themselves how small and cheap these are compared to this. So let me just pull out the steak knives and show you side by side, you know, just how cheap looking and how thin these are compared to this. So this is at least, I want to say, you know, one millimeter thicker, or even 2 millimeters thicker. You could tell. I'm just gonna like that. And the handles themselves, these are polycarbonate plastic. So both of these are $50 sets. And I will have links in the description area. Now, this Chicago Cutlery comes with the largest knife is the Santoku. So these were the dimples I'm talking about with the Santoku. But it feels cheap, and it's not well balanced because there's no weight to these plastic handles. And then just the second largest knife, the Santoku. So just showing these side by side, you know, one, you have an actual real blade, like a real, almost feels like, it does feel like it's iron forged by a, you know, ironsmith. So you can see the thicknesses of these, you know, not comparable. You know, this generic brand is definitely more heavy duty and doesn't feel cheap. So on the surface though, if you look like this, right, you know, maybe it doesn't look all that bad. I think the Chicago Cutlery, if you're going for the name, fine. They're not any better. You're not getting better knives. In fact, you're getting worse knives. If you're going to go with these Chicago Cutleries, I would recommend you just go with you know, the Amazon Basics, because they're the same quality, which is you know, a lot cheaper than your normal so-called professional knives. I would consider this basically your normal, I don't want to say professional, you know, it's not professional, but it's like heavy duty, you know, more heavy duty than what this is right here, you know. So just have to be careful not to cut myself as I'm last thing you want to do is have me bleed all over the place in this video. So but look at the handles side by side. So that's what I'm talking about here, you know. But there you go. That's, you know, I'm not going to rant on and on. I think I've done that enough. You know, check out my other videos where I have the other cheap, like $50 knife sets that are more well worth it than these brand names. I mean, come on, you know, they come from China. They're from the same factories. You know, it's not like any of these are made in the U.S. anymore. So, you know, even this Chicago Cutlery is from China. So, and this particular one's from China too. Both of these are stainless steel, but this definitely looks a lot more heavy duty. In conclusion, I would say, you know, even though they're generic brands, they're higher quality than some of these cheaper brands, and you are getting more for your money. Just look at this. Look at the difference between the thickness of the blades here. And let me zoom in so you can even see how much thicker the steel itself is. But that's really it. That's really what I wanted to mention. I hope this helps. Please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. So these I want to say, so I'm going to show you the Santoku side by side. And if you want to check out my other knives that I've reviewed, wait till the end of the video or down in the description area, and you'll see the difference between the quality versus the price. Like, these are all the same price, but the quality is way, way different. So here's the biggest knife here, the Santoku, 7-inch. And this is the second biggest knife in this set. So keep in mind, this is just a generic set. But damn, the quality of the knives are a big, big difference. So you could see even the weight. So look at these handles. So this is a $50 set, and this is also a $50 set. And look at how fancy this is. Look at that. You can't compare it. There's nice weight to this, whereas when you're cutting this, the handles are so light, the balance is not good. So here, this knife is like really well balanced. Like you could balance it on a finger, and it's like really well balanced. Here, the knife would just tip over, which is why I don't want to balance this, because the handle is so light. And a well-balanced knife when you're cutting stuff really, really helps. So just to show you, like, this thing is basically looks like a sword. No joke. Now this is a different design with a lot of dimples here. But even your normal Santoku, where I'll have another set that I'll show right in the description area, that's also a $50 set. And so just looking at the handles, and the thickness of the blade, I don't know if it comes out right in the video, where this is like 1/8 inch thicker than the steel here. So I'm just trying to show you side by side, like the thickness of the blade here. So the weight of it. So also just showing you the steak knives themselves. So these are handles for the steak knives. And you can see how nice this is for both of these sets being $50. Right there. Fancy, fancy. And I will have another video on this set alone, so stay tuned for that, or look for it in the description area. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, like, even for this knife, you could see it's just reusing these handles. This, once again, this feels like a toy compared to this set right here, because the handles are so kind of, cheap feeling. So I'm just gonna put this down and show you the biggest, the biggest knife compared to the Santoku knife. So these are, this is the biggest knife. This is the 8-inch chef's knife. Now this set doesn't even come with a chef's knife. So if you're cutting like a watermelon or something like that, or even a cantaloupe, this 7-inch knife might not be enough. So just keep that in mind. Now I don't want to spend too long and making this video a review of this set. You could go to the description area and pull that up yourself. So overall, I don't think the Chicago Cutlery is worth the money. I mean, if this is really just selling the name, and I was hoping for something more with the name Chicago Cutlery. Otherwise, I would have just gotten the Amazon Basics, which would have been the same quality here. Like this handle isn't even wood, it's just polycarbonated plastic. And it looks more like the cheap Walmart stuff you're going to get. So again, if I was just going to get that, I would have just gotten the Amazon Basics for 25 bucks. So don't spend money on the name. You're not going to get any higher quality knives. Basically go with Amazon Basics, or go with a generic set like this, which is going to be a lot fancier. So just to show you, the difference between the two here. You could see it's just so much beefier. If I do side by side, like it's not even, it's not even close, right? So, just showing you even the bread knife, side by side, right? Not comparable. This knife here is 3 times the weight of this Chicago Cutlery knife. So, but that's it. That's all I really wanted to mention. Please subscribe and support this channel, and thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Happy shopping and hunting.